For example, I mean, I don't want to start an argument. The thing they had with the school district last summer about the health ed thing and all the sex education they had in it. I mean, both sides had some good points, but if we work from reality rather than political correctness, there's going to be greater efficiency. And the more moral a society, the more caring it is. Here's an example I used to hear all the time back in California, and even sometimes here in Montana. Well, you know, if I have a gun or something, it's not worth killing someone over the money in my pocket if they're going to rob me in public, or they're going to invade my house and steal my silver. Well, again, they broke into your house. They came there with malintent. Can't you defend yourself and your family? Of course you can. They gave up their right to lovey-dovey, kid gloves treatment when they broke into your house, or they said stick them up when they're walking down the street. Okay, this is from the 50s. Hopefully it doesn't get this bad, but this is tomorrow. Society really deteriorating. Some cornerstones of society: we need to have strong borders. We need to have a common language and a common culture. It doesn't have to be culturally insensitive. We're Americans, everybody can fit in here. My grandparents came here from Sweden and Croatia, respectively. They were happy to be in America. They learned English. They called themselves Americans. Okay? Still had people in the old country. Defensive culture, respect for everyone, not special rights and special groups. Everybody's equal. Teach kids respect. Culture is important. It's not 100% relative. Some cultures are unhealthy. There's absolute truth in this world, not infinite nuances. All groups have rights and responsibilities to all other groups. Historical revenge is destructive. Yeah, for example, have relatives back in Croatia. In the breakup of Yugoslavia in the early 90s, they lived in Dubrovnik, a port city on the Adriatic. The Serbs deliberately shelled the historical sites there, the equivalent of blowing up the cathedral here in town, and the art gallery, and the state capitol. And they deliberately targeted civilians. Why? It was revenge for what the Croatian fascists had done during World War II, killed, depending who you listen to, between 6,000 and 60,000 Serbs in concentration camps, mostly, as well as setting them alive, to burn alive in churches, giving the choice of converting to Catholicism or not. So historical revenge doesn't work. You have to come to a point to call it into it. Individuals the unit, not the state. You have to stand strong against the foe within, whether it's party members, whether it's somebody advocating special treatment for their group over everybody else. We're all Americans, we're all equal. Okay? From South Africa, just as a quick example. Formerly European culture-ruled nation until 1994. They elected, if you want to call it their Obama, in 1994, Nelson Mandela, who was a violent terrorist in the 50s and 60s. But to his credit, when he was released from prison and they made him president, he did a pretty good job. He did neglect some important things like building the infrastructure and all of that, but in general, he did a good job. It was his follower, Thabo Mbeki, that really run the country. Original government overthrown by progressives working worldwide, a lot of lies told. Settled within 50 years of America being settled, 1652, it was settled on the Cape of Good Hope. The colony was set up. Jamestown was set up in the early years of the 17th century. The colonists, unlike in America and Australia, didn't try to drive out or exterminate the non-white inhabitants. They tried to work with them. Sure, sometimes they swindled them. It's human nature. Some people are going to try and cheat other people. There's about 49 million people currently, 79% black, about 9.6% white, and colored. We don't really have an equivalent in this country. The closest is somebody in the U.S. or Canada that's part Indian and part Anglo, and 2.5% Indian as an East Asian Indian, or Chinese, or Japanese. In 1994, there were 85,000 commercial farmers. Now there's about 12,000 because of the extreme farm genocide. About 96% of farm attack victims are white. About 98% of the attackers are black. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to stir up racism. What I'm saying is that people have to forget this historical revenge, especially in that case, for things that were propaganda for the most part. Currently, highest rate of rape in the world, about 1 million out of the 3 million Afrikaners, those are the white South Africans, are forced into desperate poverty. They're not allowed to work. They're not allowed to receive any government food aid whatsoever. When they set up squatter camps, they are charged for the utilities, whereas the poor blacks get free utilities. They're doing their best to wipe them out. The European Union pledged 800 million euro to South Africa from 2007 to 2013 to advance social stability. But the money has gone down the drain. It's gone for bribes, it's gone for corruption and graft. Agitprop was put around the world about South Africa. The blacks were enslaved by the whites under apartheid, separate development. Well, they had their separate homelands and they had to have a passport to come into the white areas. I think we'd all agree that's kind of weird and silly. They shouldn't have done that. But the basic idea of apartheid is separate development. The races develop in their own ways, they're taught in their own language, they learn in their own schools, they have their own communities. Nobody has to conform to some other races, norms of justice, etc. Whites swindled blacks out of the land in the 18th and 20th centuries. No, land deals were made, just like there were in America. Under apartheid, blacks were banished to the worst land. In the real world, the homelands were put on good agricultural land, and full aid was given by the government to help them develop the land. Factories were set up preferentially there. Companies were given tax breaks if they would build on the homelands and employ the inhabitants. Under apartheid, blacks received no education nor health care. The standard of literacy is very high. They had hospitals, clinics left and right. They were the best in the entire African continent. Okay, inconvenient truths. Zimbabwe, formerly Rhodesia, used to be the breadbasket, basically, of the continent, not just southern Africa. Now there's a horrific famine. Thanks to the farmers and expropriation, South Africa has now this year started importing staple foodstuffs such as wheat. Farmers killed in 1994 to present about 3,200. Okay, apartheid is so terrible, why did so many blacks from elsewhere in the continent immigrate there? And again, we already said it's second only to Colombia. Deaths in police custody under apartheid, the evil white regime, totaled from 1963 to 94 to 75. Deaths in police custody for the year 2003, only 300. Second Amendment parallels Firearms Control Act of 2007, Central Gun Registry. We had to prove a need for a gun. There's an extreme backup in the licensing system, and it's selectively used against whites and to a lesser degree against Indians. Just finished, we talked about the government being able to eavesdrop your cell phone traffic anytime at all times. And this year, there's a census coming up next year. The government is sending black census workers through full military training and arming them, giving them an AK-47 to take home, to take a census. This was just a couple weeks ago, grazing land fires. In Northwest Province, at least 1,106 square miles of grazing land burned. Most of the fires were arson. 2 farmers were arrested in Northwest Province when they caught 4 arsonists trying to touch off the grazing land. They chased them, they detained them. The police came, arrested the farmers, and released the arsonists. Again, this poster is up in the back. These are skilled South Africans forced to live on the street because they cannot get employment. And there's a charity. Affirmative action is a negative reaction. Dr. King's vision, I hate to say it, but was everybody being judged on the content of their character, not the color of their skin, their religion, or ethnic group. And that's the way it should be. Affirmative action, the qualified blacks are hired, whites prohibited. Black economic empowerment, all white-owned businesses must take on a black partner. Equals extreme corruption, the loss of rights. American Parallels, remember Attorney General Holden dismissed the Black Panther voter intimidation case? He said that such a focus on the Black Panthers demeans his people. He's going to stand with his people. And that's what I want to hear the Attorney General say. Gun seizures during Katrina, again, that's not supposed to happen in Montana. Black crime flash mobs of the summer and spring of 2011 target whites, but no police department has considered that a hate crime, in spite of all the epitaphs being yelled by the people. Feds, unfortunately, are supporting illegal immigration in some ways. Operation Fast and Furious from ATF used to generate a pretext and pass gun control. And again, I know ATF agents, they're disgusted by the whole business. The way they put it is, we have real work with real criminals to do. We don't have time for political nonsense. Okay?